some time and introduce to all the panelists who are here in today's International Forum on Investment post-COVID-19. We have Honorable Sujata Koirala, former Deputy Prime Minister and former Foreign Minister of Nepal, and the Chairperson of Girija Prasad Koirala Foundation from Kathmandu, Nepal. Then we have Dr. Sudhir Ruparayala, Chairman of Rupayala Group, Uganda, and the richest man in Uganda. He is worth, I believe, $800 million. Then we have our leader, Himanshu Vyas, Secretary of All India Congress National Committee and Chairman of Foreign Trade Committee, Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And next we have our pioneer and genius leader, Sam Pitroda, telecom engineer, inventor, and entrepreneur. Then we have Mike Singh, Chairman and CEO, TC Group from Guyana, and Chairman of the Caribbean Digital Divide Initiative. Next, we have Ritu Gyamdan, Treasurer of Trekking Agencies Association of Nepal. Then Rajesh K. Rai, Review Editor, Invasive Alien Space Assessment from Thailand, Bangkok. Then we have Lal Hira Tamrakar Azad, Managing Director, Bakery de Upper Crust Private Limited from Nepal, Kathmandu. Then we have Dinesh Tripathi, Constitutional Expert and Senior Advocate of Nepal. Next, Dr. Imu Morlen Christopher, CEO, AICP, National President at Onshore Offshore Oil and Gas Professionals, Nigeria. Next, Dr. Kazeem Bello, CEO, Africa Capital and Equity Funds Limited. Next, Fardous Askar, journalist from Tech Times newspaper. Next, Dr. Leong Ying, Star. Next, Richard Yuen, partner of Clytech. And finally, my name is Somnath Ghirmire, President of GPK Foundation America, and I'm moderating this panel today. Thank you all for joining, and let's just give me 1 second. Let's see, she's joining. Okay.
I'm here.
Finally, she's here, and here she is.
Namaste.
Honorable.
Hello.
Namaste, Sujata ji.
Namaste.
I'm also here. I'm also here. Namaste.
Dinesh Tripathi. Okay.
Namaste.
Honorable Sujata Koirala, former Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Nepal, and the Chairperson of Girija Prasad Koirala Foundation from Kathmandu, Nepal. Without any delay, I would invite her for her welcome remarks.
Thank you, Somnath ji. On behalf of the GP Koirala Foundation, I would like to welcome you all in this virtual meeting. We have a common challenge before us. The challenge is to figure out now how to minimize the number of death and the economic and psychological devastation it will cause. For this, we need to heavily invest in education, health, infrastructures to protect the humanity, which I think is the sum of health, skills, and knowledge. We also need to put our investment in research and development. We need to encourage families, their neighbors, and their co-workers to work together and build community resilience. We need to have an aggressive agenda for additional investment in the fields of public health, vaccine and drug research, emergency management from both public and private sectors. At this juncture, our goal must be to develop vaccines for fighting coronavirus. Sushma Memorial Trust is at work in social sectors also, and running hospital, plastic and reconstructive surgery hospital in Kathmandu, providing health services and training, provide training with its branches throughout the country. The trust is engaged in providing education, providing internet facilities in villages. It is a long way, but we are determined to continue our journey. We have to prepare for post-COVID-19 to deal with a host of social, economic, and political issues. The biggest challenges, I think, will be the engagement of our youth in productive activities. If they are left alone, that will be the source of social unrest and upheaval. In our own way, Sushma Trust and GP Foundation are engaging youth at various levels throughout the country. We need more investments in health, education, and other social sectors to address the post-COVID-19 phase. We all have to come together, work together to protect the humanity from pandemic. Let us come together. The opportunity to save millions of lives cannot be passed. Pandemic does not wait us to think also. Let us start planning and preparing by investing in critical sectors that are directly related to people's health, education, and knowledge building. Thank you, and wish this meeting a success. And I'm very much eager to hear from all of you and learn more from you, what you have to say. I'm really very, very thankful and grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sujata Koirala, for your valuable welcome remarks. Now, next, I'd love to invite Dr. Sudhi Ruparayala, Chairman of Ruparayala Group, Uganda, for the African region on investment regarding the post-COVID-19 and the growth of economic in the global arena. Please welcome Dr. Sudhi Ruparayala.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in this program. Now, one of the most important challenges that I see in post-COVID-19 is to, first of all, is how to maintain employment. Two, how to keep the consumer demand going. Three,
Dr. Sudhi, can you just uplift your camera? It's coming only half.
Is it okay now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Can I repeat? One of the most important for me as a businessman and an entrepreneur is how to keep the employment going with the people we're employing, and also my colleagues, And second most important thing for me is how to keep the consumer demand going in the country. Because one of the biggest problems we see now, the employment and the consumer demand go hand in hand, and they are the most affected sectors. If the consumer demand is not encouraged, then the government itself will start running out of revenues. And of course, if employment is no there, further taxation collection by the governments are in total jeopardy. And when the government has no money or less money, all their programs are, will not be managed properly. And especially, I can only talk about a third world country that I live in this part of Africa, where governments are dependent on tax collection and also aid, foreign aid money to support the balance of. So if we can maintain this and sell through, because some of the industries here it's going to take between 12 to 18 months to get back to its feet, especially hospitality and tourism sector, and also the airports opening up. And unless those things come in a sequence, we will find that all these things will not work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir Koirala, for your valuable advices, opinions, and sharing your experiences. And we look forward for QA sessions if we have some questions to ask. Next, I'd love to invite Himangshu Vyasji, Secretary of All India Congress National Committee. Please welcome Himangshu Vyas. All right, he's not in yet, so we'll connect him later. So we'll continue the session next. Our genius and the entrepreneur and the inventor and the telecom engineer, Sam Pitroda.
Thank you. Greetings from Chicago. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My view is very different. I believe we need to evolve a new model. The design of the world that was conceived after World War II, mainly by US, which created UN, World Bank, IMF, NATO, WTO, GDP, GNP, that design has outlived its utility. That design was based on democracy, freedom, capitalism, consumption, and military. Then world was not connected. Then world was still colonized. Now that the world is decolonized, for the first time in the human history, everybody is connected. We need a new model of development. This model will not work, has not worked. And that's why we are having problems for last 20 years, whether it is fall of economy in the US, internet bubble, or coronavirus. These are all symptoms. Because now you don't have bipolar world. After that design, world got decolonized, rise of China, fall of Soviet Union, 9/11, and then coronavirus. These are all major historical events that we need to consider before we go back to what it was. So we need a whole new design which is fundamentally different. I'm just finishing a book on it, and that's why I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about this to distinguished people like you all. New design is going to be more focused on inclusion, basic needs, decentralization, new model of economy, and not just capitalist, because capitalism has created huge disparity. Very few people have lots of wealth and lots of people are poor. And that model has outlived its utility. Then we need more emphasis on conservation than on consumption. And that brings us to sustainability, environment, global warming, and all that. Finally, we have gotten to a point we need to begin to focus on non-violence. We cannot afford to spend, like in US, $1 trillion a year on military when there are no major global fights. We ought to be spending some of that money on education and health. But US keeps on spending $1 trillion a year on defense because that is based on the old design. So new world is going to be multipolar. It is not going to be bipolar or unipolar. It will require different kind of architecture with collaboration, cooperation, communication, consensus building, and not command and control. And this is going to take huge amount of effort at a global level. Unfortunately, everybody wants to go back to what it was. Going back to what it was by creating, again, same jobs, same economy, same education, same health service is not going to work. We need new model of education. Who decided it should take 4 years to get a degree? Why do you have to go to school every day? Why don't we have health services in every district, in every village? With technology today, all of it is possible. There's no need to build 5-star hospitals everywhere. So I think there are different set of questions we need to ask today. Unfortunately, people are not asking those questions. And I'm very disappointed that everyone is talking about quickly going back to what it is or what it was. That model will not work. I can assure you, our challenge is going to be to create new model of development, new thinking, change agents, people who are committed to service, people who are dedicated to giving something. And that's the challenge. With this, once again, I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I'm sorry, I have another video call that was scheduled. I told Somnath ji that I'll come for a while. And I wish you all the best. And I look forward to remaining in touch with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your great advices, great sharing your experiences, expertise on this forum. It is very, very highly. Thank you. So hope to talk to you soon, Sam Petrolaji. Take care.
Thank you,
Next,
sir.
we have Mike Singh, Chairman and CEO, TSC Group, Guyana. I welcome Mike Singh to the forum on investment post-COVID-19.
Namaste, Somnath ji and my brothers and sisters. If there are any Muslims in the group, my salam to you and good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Singh. In fact, I was born in Guyana, small country in South America, the only one that speaks English. And today, Guyana is in a unique position where we have control of the 4th largest water table in the world. We are part of the Amazon. So unlike many parts of the world where you have a serious deficit of water, we have lots of it. We have good sunshine. We have also found lots of oil and gas. And I can tell you that can be a curse and it can be a blessing, because the next global conflict is not going to be oil or gas. Oil and gas has a limited lifespan. The shelf life of the oil and gas economy is limited. You look at global warming, you look at the problems we are having with hurricanes, typhoons, tsunamis, tidal waves. This is all because the earth is speaking back. Mother Earth, nature is revolting. So, 30 years ago in my more youthful days, I was reading about the ozone layer, being depleted. Today, you have things that are more immediate, like the global pandemic. And during this period of the pandemic, we saw Mother Nature resurging again. We saw lots of animals that were never seen in many places taking back control of their former environment. I grew up in a home without a telephone. I grew up in a home without a television. But my grandfather bequeathed to me an amazing library. So the time I would have spent watching TV or on the phone, I was able to read. And I can tell you, the old saying, a mind stretched with knowledge can never return to its original dimension. So I was in my late teens when I heard the late Rajiv Gandhi talk about how, and I listened to this on the BBC because we did not have a TV, at home in Guyana. I remember Gandhi ji saying, Rajiv Gandhi said, India had missed the Industrial Revolution, but she was not going to miss the technological or the ICT revolution. And that inspired me in a huge way to go into the world of tech. And I ended up coming from a country where I did not have a telephone and where I did not have a television in the home I grew up in. By the time I came back to Guyana after my studies, my grandmother was still alive. My nanny was still alive to see we actually got a telephone in the house. Today, my cousins, they all use iPads, they all use the latest devices. And they all said, you know, what was it like for you growing up without a telephone? I said, you know, it was a different era. I think people had a lot more time for themselves. They were not being consumed by technology. They were not being consumed by Twitter. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis in the coming months and years on dealing with digital addiction. But to answer what we're doing in the context of the Caribbean, with this pandemic and leadership and economic revival, I want to highlight that today we are having this Zoom call, all because of the fact we in this technology sector 20 years ago saw the need to invest in scalable and upgraded communication networks. Billions of dollars were spent on laying subsea cables around the world and also terrestrial fiber. If we did not invest in those networks 20 odd years ago, all the way until I'll say up a year ago, with new subsea cables coming into play, there's no way we could have been having this call. So back then, the investments we made, we are seeing the results and the fruits of our labor and our vision come to play as an example in today's call. But, you know, for instance, you know, in the 90s, 1.5 megabit per second was considered a lot. Today, if you don't have at least 500 megabit per second broadband capacity, or even a gigabit, they say you're talking wind, excuse my expression, you're not moving fast enough. So what I have decided in Guyana and Suriname over the next 12 months is to build the first 5G test case, and I'm going to give away the broadband for free. I'm going to give free internet access to every person in Guyana and in Suriname, absolutely free. Why? Because I recognize our competitive advantage lies in our human capital. And unless we provide the enabling framework, the enabling environment to allow our people to work, learn, and what have you in the most remote circumstances, you know, if I may attach my argument to what Sam Petroda said, only then can we be globally competitive. So bandwidth, we know it has been, you know, voice is dead. Anybody who is paying for voice needs to wake up, because with the amount of bandwidth you have today, you can run Skype, you can run Zoom, you can run WhatsApp. So voice is dead. Bandwidth has become a commodity. And I'm of the firm position, unequivocally and unapologetically, that access to bandwidth should be a fundamental human right. I was once a victim of the analog divide. Thank God I was not a victim of the digital divide. Many people in many developing countries in Latin America, in sub-Saharan Africa, where I've spent a lot of time last year, they suffer from the inequality of digital constipation. So part of this whole new, you know, paradigm shift, this global, this tectonic shift that we are going to witness, we must have the ability to deliver bandwidth at an affordable cost to every human being, similar to education, good quality health care, because these are the building blocks to lift people out of poverty. Look at my beloved India today. India is scaling because of the vision of Nehru in the 60s to set up the IIMs and the IITs. You don't know how much I envy my brothers and sisters in India for having schools of such stature. Look at the people those schools have produced, from Satya Nadella to Sundarajan Pichai at Google. You take the Indians out of Silicon Valley and it will fall flat on its face. So we need to bring, and you know, no disrespect, the pendulum has shifted from the west to the east, and it has shifted from the north to the south. My mom, the former Commonwealth Secretary General, Sushmita Ramphal, always advocated South-South cooperation. My brothers and sisters, the action is no longer in Europe. It is in Latin America, it is in Sub-Saharan Africa, it is in Central and South and East Asia. Outside of India, which has the largest population of young consumers in the world, Latin America has the second largest. I say to people, if you're not in Africa today, don't go next week, you'll be late. I spent more than 3 weeks crisscrossing Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, Sierra Leone, Mali. In a space of 3 weeks, I visited all these countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And I can tell you, I see so much zest and energy and renewed hope. A country like Sierra Leone, which went through civil war, which had to battle with Ebola, it reminded me so much of my own homeland of Guyana in terms of the climate, the flora, the fauna. But I saw so many young people bursting with energy, anxious to learn. The future is bright, and the future is with the developing economy. The United Nations must be reformed. We cannot have the diktats of the old metropoles and the colonial masters of France and Britain. Where are they today? India has a stronger economy than several of them combined together. So, you know, we like to say the empire strikes back, but I like to take it a step further and say, you know, the developing world is now going to have the last laugh. We have the market size, we have the human capital, which is very young and which needs to be harnessed. And we can leapfrog because of the democracy of the technology today. And I want to say to Somnath Ghirmire, I'm very happy you've invited me. I open myself to any questions, share my information with anyone. I'm a big believer in learning. I don't have all the answers. As a friend of mine said, you know, you Indians have the mind of a sponge. Your heads are like sponges. You never have enough knowledge. So I said, you know, India never picked a war with anyone, but she conquered the world with her ideas and her philosophy. So when I look at, and I'm yet to visit your beloved Nepal, I know of its history, but sure. I've never gone into Nepal. And
welcome, Mike. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone here from Kerala? I've been to Kerala. I fell in love with Kerala. Yeah. Reminds me a lot of back home. And don't forget, there's 6 million persons of Indian origin in Latin America and the Caribbean. And yes. If you ever want a good game of cricket, we're always happy to take you on the pitch. Thank you.
Mike. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your ideas and opinions. Thank you. We'll get back to you again in QA sessions.
Sure.
So I'd like to invite Himanshu Vyasji. He just got in. Himanshu Vyasji, Secretary of All India Congress National Committee and Chairman of Foreign Trade Committee, Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Himanshu Vyasji.
कौन है भाई?
Himanshu Vyasi,
हाँ, ये कितने का है? कितने दे रहा है ये? 2.5 महीना?
Yes, can you hear me now?
yes, yes. Oh, there you go. Yes, yes.
Somnath ji, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much to invite me in this forum and talk about the post-COVID scenario
On
on
investment.
economy in
Yeah.
India and investment. Good morning to everybody and good afternoon, good evening also, because in many countries people have joined.
Right.
So I'm very delighted to be with you on this. I will specifically talk about the Indian economy was really in trouble even before pandemic. It was slowed down. So during the pandemic, it is a world over effect going on, and India is the sufferer of that part of thing. Basic thing is that in economy, you have to have a strength of people who can spend money. And India, you know, it is a very lower middle class people. Many migratory workers, they are working from many state to other different state in different industries. And lockdown basically in India is not very successful because the purpose of lockdown is for the preparation of the fighting the pandemic. But we are not able to, our government is not able to sustain in that, and they could not do much more facilities in the health sector. And they have not even given right time to people to be prepared for the lockdown. So half of the lockdown people have started migrating from one state to another state, and there was a chaos. And poor people, where they will go? This is not the fight between bacteria and economy, a virus and economy. This is basically a fight of life versus life. And we have to be very alert in all this type of thing. Today situation is that people are not having job. In last 3 decades, India has unemployment. You know, India is the youngest country of the world. We have 65% people are youth between 35. Don't provide them proper work, and if they don't get work, it will be a big chaos in the country in future. And there are no plans as such, but economists like Amartya Sen, they believe that this is the situation temporarily during this pandemic. India can bounce back. We have to do a great work in health sector. We have to have a robust health system. And today there is a big scope of investment in India is a health sector. You will find a green field in health sector in India. And there is a huge scope in India about the health sector. People can come and invest, and there will be a big business in the health sector because people really require it. And there is a big gap between facility and this type of problems going on. Another thing is medium and small scale industries. India can provide the big base of medium and small scale industry. World over today, there is a feeling that we should avoid Chinese thing and all that kind of thing. And India can take that stage that India can be a big industrial hub, and they can be a, they can fill the space of China. But I believe that there is, I believe that India has to prepare for basically prepare for the infrastructure like power. In China, if we go and put a industry, there is a maybe 50 cent, $1, maybe 50 cent Indian 1 rupee is a power price. And here we are paying more. So it is a costly affair to go for the manufacturing. So we have to come up with the infrastructure. So there is a big scope of investment in infrastructure, like power sector. We are definitely trying in a big way for the alternative energy sources. Like solar energy, we are day by day, India is growing very well. And there is a big scope of investing in alternative energy like solar and even geothermal. Definitely there is a big scope in India. So these are the major sector where investment, health sector, energy sector, and housing. Housing also can give a big way jobs. They can give in number of people can have jobs in housing industry, and there is a big scope of investment in housing industry also. But somebody has to design the economy, because after this COVID-19, this economical design will be changed. We have to redesign the economy, because I have seen a big way reverse migration. People previously they were coming from villages to city for earning, and now this situation is such, there is a huge congestion in the city, and because of huge congestion, this thing has taken much more. You see in case of our state and our particularly my city Ahmedabad, it is on the highest of this COVID-19. So people have started going back to their roots, back to their villages, and there will be a big scope for the development, because after reverse migration, I don't think people will come back to city for their jobs. They will definitely find out that they want job at their own place, where their families, where they stay with their relatives, everything. Because here in this COVID-19 pandemic, people are mentally also very much stressed, and they were away from their family. So they thought that if we are going to die, we have to die with our family, not here. So they've just gone back in their villages and their places, native place. So there is a big scope of redevelopment in the rural sector. And we have seen in America also that people travel one hour to go for job in city, and they go back home in little out of the city. So that type of reverse migration will also start. And another thing, basically a big industry is a IT industry. IT industry now completely the work is changed. People have started working from home. And Tata Group of this IT industry, TCS, they have decided that now they decided 75% people home. So this is all going to be changed, so that transportation will be less, pollution will be less. So all effect will come after this COVID-19. There'll be a different type of economy, different type of activities will start. So my suggestion is that Somnath ji, that we have to create a group who can design the economy, give the suggestion, who can give the planning, which is commonly acceptable in the world.
Yes.
Every country has their own problems, and every country has their own things. But there are some common issues which we can handle, and Somnath ji can take up the lead and prepare. I think I'm not seeing Dr. Sam Pitroda ji on the
Yeah, he was here
screen.
earlier. He presented his.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
Manshiba, he spoke and left, sir. He spoke and
He
left.
spoke and left.
okay, okay. Because he's writing a book which
Yes.
is very important, redesigning of the world,
Yes.
and it is great thing. He's a great thinker, and he has really given a good thought about the recent situation. So thank you very much again, and I cannot speak much because all are more educated and economist in this meeting.
Yes.
But I have given my own views, what I feel about India. Thank you very much for giving me the chance, and I want to hear our all very much great
Thank
guest.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Himanshu Vyasji, for your
Thank you, Somnath ji.
views and opinions.
Thank
and,
you, Himanshu.
Yes. So next, I would love to go back to
Thank you, Malini ji.
our constitutional expert and senior advocate from Nepal, Dinesh Tripathi. What is the constitutional provision for the international investment or any laws binding the international investor entrepreneur? Can you just brief it about regarding the laws and regulation of Nepal? Please, please, Dinesh Tripathi, please unmute. Unmute. I cannot hear you. Please unmute.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Somnath ji, for inviting me. So, due to this pandemic, there is a paradigm shift, and now you have to think out of box. You have to find new tool and new survival strategy. So now, global economy has been devastated, and Nepal is one of the least developed country and newly emerging economy and newly emerging democracy. It's a new democracy. So as you asked me about what is the legal regime of foreign investment in Nepal, so during the 90s, since we have set up a new constitution, so after the promulgation of new constitution, and then a democratic regime was created, and after that Nepal has tried to open up its economy for foreign investment, liberalize the trade regime, liberalize the investment regime. And then we enacted a series of laws, and Foreign Investment Technology Transfer Act. Now, last year, that act has been totally rewrite. So in order to capture the emerging scenario, and it had become more comprehensive. So then we have Industrial Enterprises Act. We have a Company Act has been totally rewrite. So and then we constituted investment board. So we can the foreign investment to attract foreign investment in Nepal, because Nepal is one of the least developed country, one of the poor economy, but it has a huge potentiality. Actually, the potential of Nepali economy has been underutilized. It has all the potential to be a next Asian tiger, because it has a huge potentiality in hydro sector. Hydroelectricity can be developed. Nepal has a huge potential for it. For the investment in infrastructure, it's a virgin economy, and in the mining sector, in agricultural sector, so it has a huge potential, and it could be the next economic tiger. And due to this pandemic, it has been hard hit. Purely the low income group, the daily usage people. So now you have to think out of box. Nepal has liberalized its investment regime, but not much investment is taking place in Nepal. But I would say that Nepal can be a very good destination, best destination, profitable destination for the investor. Because it has a tremendous capacity which has been underutilized. And Nepal has a very hardworking population, law-abiding citizen. On top of that, investing in Nepal is investing in democracy. So, and since you have English-speaking population, which is also growing, so investors have very easy because they can communicate in English. So you have a large number of youth force, working force, which are very hardworking and law-abiding and very creative population. Thing is that they are not got the opportunity, but they can easily adapt with new situation. They can adapt with new technology. So it has a huge, the potentiality is there, laws are there, institutions are there, and Nepal is, in order to try a foreign investment, we are welcoming, giving a red carpet welcome to all the investors. Now we have set up the one window policy. So the investor don't have to go, department to department. Earlier, the situation was a bit difficult, and there is a lot of bureaucratic hassles. Now, largely the bureaucratic hassles have been removed. Now there are, grievances settlement mechanism within the Department of Industry. There is an investment board, which is very quick and efficient. And thing is that we have a independent court if there is any disputes, because if any commercial disputes are there, so the court system is very efficient, and there is an independent court, and it can decide the dispute in a very in a efficient manner and based on rule of law. So thing is that we have a liberal regime, and but the thing is that it is very hard at this point. It is hard to imagine the post pandemic scenario, because at this point the world is in a very uncertain situation. But thing is that we need to be hopeful, because the human race is not going to die. It will be there, and we have to find the new strategy, new survival strategy. Our economy has to survive, our population has to survive, and we have to build a new tools for the survival. And now as Sam Petroda has already mentioned, that the consumerism based the pattern of growth has to be avoided, because the economic growth is important, but thing is that it's not enough. How the economic growth will translate it into human welfare, how the wealth which has been created through the economic growth and development will translate it into the human welfare, translated into the human development. So our purpose of economic development is to empower our population. We need inclusive growth, inclusive development, and because if you in the name of economic development you create a model which create only winners and losers, it's not going to work. Because if you, in the name of development, if you create island of prosperity and vast masses of people they live in deprivation, that's not going to work. That will not, the democracy won't survive, because we need a stable economy in order to make democracy work. Because there are certain level of income, certain level of public certain level of economic human welfare, human development. So you have to invest in our people, and then we have to find a new strategy, because Sujata ji is already mentioned that we have to target how to remodel our education, our health system. So Nepal also can provide opportunity for medical tourism, because Nepal we have a very efficient doctors, we have a very good climate, and look at Thailand, they are providing the best example for medical tourism. So Nepal could be at this point it looks very difficult for development of tourism, but Nepal has a tremendous natural beauty. So the tourism has a huge scope in Nepal, and if the things will go in a normal way after the pandemic, hopefully the pandemic will go, and the human race will be able to overcome this kind of pandemic, and again the economy will be on track, the development agenda will be in track, and things will be stable. So Nepal has also a huge potential for tourism, for religious tourism as well as natural tourism and cultural tourism, but we need to have build our economy in a sustainable manner. Eco-friendly economic model need to be adopted. People-friendly economic model need to be adopted. We have to create a mass scale of employment, because our large number of our population, our working population, they are the most dynamic population of our country, because one of the supreme resource of the nation is a human resource, but they are working out of Nepal, in Gulf country. So because they are losing their job there, so we need to the population will be there will be reverse migration, so we have to find a strategy. So I think that for the investor, it is also a good opportunity that Nepal can provide low cost labor. So the labor cost is very cheap in Nepal. So that will be also, like China has a competitive advantage, India has also competitive advantage that it has a cheap labor. So Nepal has also, and because of huge workforce is out of Nepal, if you are able to generate mass employment in the country, so those population will be back in Nepal, and we have to build the strategy, because they are the most dynamic tools for economic development, and you cannot afford to lose our dynamic population. We need to give them job. So again, I would say that investing in Nepal is investing in young democracy, and it is one of the most, it could be one of the most profitable destination, and Nepal will be also benefited, and it will create the tremendous opportunity will be also created for the investor.
Thank you, Dineshji, for your valuable advices and sharing your expert on constitution regarding the investment in Nepal. Now,
Somnath ji,
hardly hit.
One very important point for Nepal is Himalaya.
Yes.
You have a tremendous medicinal plants available in that range of Himalaya.
Exactly.
Herbal medicine, right?
So it's a great opportunity for anybody to have natural medicinal production.
Right. Thank
because
you.
you have a lot of raw material.
Yeah. Okay. So next, I go to Nepal tourism sector. Tourism industry has been hardest hit in the economic growth during this post-COVID, during this crisis of COVID-19. So Ritu Gamdan, who is treasurer of Trekking Agencies Association of Nepal, can you please brief the sector of tourism how to cope up with this crisis? Ritu Gamdan. Please unmute.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to thank President of GPK Foundation America, Mr. Somnath Ghirmire, Chairperson of GPK Foundation Kathmandu, Nepal, former Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Ministry of Nepal, Honorable Sujata Koirala, all panelists and participants. Good evening and Joy Nepal from Nepal. Well, as per the latest available data, tourism contribute 10% of the total GDP of the country and employs around 1 million people directly and indirectly. Among the tourists visiting to Nepal, trekking is one of the most popular touristic attraction, and it has been recorded that 16% of the total tourists visiting to Nepal come for trekking and expedition. Tourism in Nepal had a setback in 2015 because of the earthquake, but bounced back quickly from it with record numbers of people traveling to Nepal in the following years. It had been planning for another exciting year, as Nepal had declared 2020 as Visit Nepal 2020 and had plans of being travel destination for 2 million tourists in 2020. tourism sector that also include the trekking, mountaineering, hotels, travel, airlines sectors had been investment made into it, anticipating a surge in the business of the Visit Nepal 2020. Unfortunately, things have not gone well, not for just Nepal, but the entire all the world, as we were all struck by COVID-19. Nepal government cancelled the program, quickly announced that the country would go into the lockdown state, which is effectively meant that there would be no traveling at all. Now we are already into the third month of the lockdown and looking forward anxiously like all the other countries who have been affected by the endemic. As we expect things go better sooner or later, we are looking forward to our transition into post-COVID situation. Tracking rules and regulation may be required to be reformed to ensure it is updated with the post-COVID environment. As the international travel and tourism may look different to post-COVID, Nepal also needs to keep up with the changes and also come up with incentives to stand out as a safe and attractive tourism destination. As the economy up with as the economy around the world recovers, the tourism sector across the world will also be looking to rebound and may also be competing with each other for decreased number of tourists compared into the times prior to COVID-19. Therefore, a strong coordination in between the private sector tourism and the government to come up with rules and regulation that will identify Nepal as a safe and attractive tourism destination. In the meantime, tourism sector in Nepal will also need to look into the domestic tourist market as the increase in the number of Nepalese outbound travelers in recent times shows that there is growing population in Nepal who can contribute to tourism sector of Nepal. In recent years, this has already been observed in the many population trekking destination of Nepal where domestic tourists would be virtually non-existent in the past. Trekking industry is Nepal hasn't tapped into the domestic market yet, and this could be potential market to look into when people may still have hesitation to do international travel. Disaster risks reduction in the trekking sector in almost non-existent, and it's all about some changes to it. The entire trekking industry is closed and hundreds and thousands of people are left unemployed without any source of income. It is second time in 5 years where the trekking industry is at complete shutdown, as this also happened during the earthquake 2015. There is a sense of disappointment from the skilled labor of this industry as they feel that they contribute so to the system which generates millions of the dollars in revenues each year of government royalties and fees. In a country like ours where hundreds and thousands are capable, labor force is moving abroad to for leisure skilled work. We will need to make sure that skilled of labor of this industry do not follow the same path. This might be results into the shortage of skillful labor, which may not bring some negative impact that may have social, economical, psychological impact on the estimated 1 million people who are in this sector. Therefore, it is essential for all related stakeholders to work on some sort of safety net program to minimize the social, economical, psychological impacts brought upon by nature disaster to the tourism industry and its labor force. The mentioned factors are some of the major topics among many that will be needed to be reviewed by all involved stakeholders for the post-COVID tourism scene. Prompt and thoughtful action on these matters will be crucial to reviving the tourism industry once this ongoing endemic finally ends and maybe prove to be positive signs that encourage further investment in the tourism sector of Nepal in the post-COVID days. As a developing country like ours, who are seeking to promote entrepreneurship within the country to create employment and reduce the current brain drain of the country, we must try our best to provide the best available opportunity for investment in tourism, a sector which has been considered an important economic sector of Nepal. Once again, thank you so much, chairperson and moderator Somnath sir. I really appreciate for everyone listening me passion. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Ritu Gamden, for your sharing your experiences on regarding the tourism sector, tourism industry of Nepal and investment post COVID-19. We look forward working with you and your industry to uplift the economic in the tourism sector. Next, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Rai from Bangkok, Thailand.
Hello, namaskar. Thank you, Somji, and thank you, Sujata Didi, for this opportunity. I will a little bit focus on what should be the new pathway for Nepal and developing countries. And I agree with all that we need to think a new normal, that the existing normal cannot work. So new normal could be building the wealth rather than earning the money. So we should focus on producing the basic needs for the local demand and sell the excessive. So we need to think that the humanity cannot be survived with the existing economic models, because the likelihood of pandemic has increased over the past decades. So this COVID-19 is not only the last, because there are almost 1.7 million unknown virus living on mammals and the water birds, which have potential to infect the human. So when there is the more interaction between the human and the wild animals, like if we destroy the forest, and then maybe the likelihood of having the new pandemic is more. So these frequent new diseases and climate change, we have to consider as a signals of the nature to the humanity that we have to control our economic activities within the limit of the nature. Because nature has the critical role in economic development, as it provides raw materials for the production and also act as a sink of the waste produced during the economic process. So if we use more than the production, or if we produce more waste than the assimilation power of the nature, then maybe economic will be collapse. So we have to consider the limit of the nature. So this means that this clearly suggests that we need to focus our economic activities in the primary production sector, or we should have enough to support ourselves first. Otherwise, economic will not be strong. So the debate would be, are you going to have the big economy or the strong economy? So this situation already shows that we need to focus on the strong economy. And this is very crucial for the developing countries like Nepal, where people are struggling for the basic needs such as health, education, and food. So these people who are in the rural area are not only suffering from the pandemic situation, but also from the climate change that is hitting them and also the economies. Therefore, immediate need is to increase the primary production, which is agriculture and the forest-based products. So these sectors in the developing countries and in Nepal are at subsistence level. So new normal pathways should promote these primary production sectors through the technology input. So technology input could be the new investment sector, that we have to think about the processing of the agriculture products, processing of the forest products, and we already discussed that processing of the medicinal herbs. that when we think about the health sector, then it should be promoted with our medicinal herbs and Ayurvedic. That's we are practicing since long. And this could be also the central point in the Himalayas. So the new pathway we are discussing, when I saw this look back, this is not really the new, because our greatest leader, BP Koirala, has envisioned 5 decades ago that all households should have enough production for their livelihoods. Cattle for milk, it means that they should have the enough nutrition and have easy access to basic facilities such as education and health. So what we are thinking right now, that when there will be the reverse migration, then how to make the village self-sufficient. So this is already envisioned 5 decades ago. So we have to think from this way. And of course that we have the hydropower, but we have to think hydropower that only exporting the hydropower cannot sustain the economy, cannot make the economy strong, but we need to use the hydropower for the production. If we invite the foreign investor for this industry in the Nepal, when they use the hydropower, this is really carbon neutral. It means that it will also give them the new certificate that they are really think about the environment, and they will also gain the social benefits also. And also they have the strong presence in the market. I think these are the things we have to look for the new normal. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your sharing your expertise and experiences and valuable advices on this forum, Dr. Rajesh Ghirmire from Bangkok. Next, Lal Hira Tamrakar Azad. What do you have in mind for the secure investment in the industry that in COVID-19?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Somnath Dai. And again, I would like to thank you, Sujata Didi. And also, I would like to thank you, Dr. Rajesh Rai, giving me this opportunity to talk to you all expertise. I'm very glad to speak here today. I'm a food businessman. I have a bakery, and I got very good opportunity to work with one of the largest supermarket in Nepal, which is called Bhatvatini. And what I found here is people's first priority is to collect food. So in this pandemic also, this Bhatvatini supermarket doing great because of they have a great food store. So what I want to say here is, now I take this pandemic is as an opportunity, because so many people from different part of world, now our friend now supposed to come back to home again. So lots of experience, all experience friends, people are coming back home. So I'm waiting for them. I welcome them. We have lots of these workers scarcity here. Now they work different part in the world, and now they are very experienced. They are coming back, and now we don't have that sort of problem, workers problem. And what we have too big, large, huge populated country. So if we can set up here a big manufacturing company, so we don't have to travel a lot. We can sell those products in our neighboring country. So both, luckily we are situated at the middle of the highest populated country in the world. So I'm taking this pandemic as an opportunity. If we can have a good factories here in Nepal, especially in food sector, it would be very, very great for us, especially in dairy, poultry, and agriculture. So today, I don't like to take lots of time from all of you, because here what I found is, in this pandemic also, as we are related to the food line, so we are not suffering a lot, and we are being alert, and people are excited. All only food chains are getting better nowadays. So what I suggest, or what I want to put here is, if we can work for the agriculture field or poultry field or the dairy field here, we can invest and we can export to India also, in China also. So I frequently travel both this country also for my business. So I take this as a big opportunity. All my friends, experienced workers are coming back to Nepal again. So I'm waiting for them. I'm happy. This pandemic, we cannot do anything, but we have to work for the future. We cannot worry. We don't have to worry too much about the pandemic. Let's work for the future. So what I suggest is, let's do something great here. Let's invite people here. We have lots of love, very cheap. Workers are coming back. Experienced workers are coming back to Nepal. We can invest here, and foreign investment, how foreign investment comes in Nepal is if we can give them some return also. Now the chance is again come back to Nepal. We have a small country, big populated country beside us. So if we can produce anything, till now we don't produce anything. We only buy from others. Now let's produce something and we export it. So if we can export something, then we can achieve everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your valuable advices, Hiralal Tamrakar Azadji. Next, I'm going to Dr. Kazeem Bello, CEO of Africa Capital and Equity Funds Limited. Dr. Kazeem Bello.
Thank you very much. This is Dr. Kazeem Bello from...
Yes.
Hello?
Please welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me, Mr. Somnath. And I also want to thank Dr. Leong for making this possible. I've listened carefully to a exceedingly very intelligent and highly effective contribution so far. I will make it very short and sweet. And what we know is that we all understand and standing on one point that everybody has said so far. The pandemic has created exceedingly new order globally in terms of how we view the economy, how we view the system, what is going to be needed moving forward. Since essentially the topic of today is what next after COVID, even though we know that we are not out of it yet, but it is one of the first time that we will witness a global shake. I mean, something that rocked the economy globally. We've had receptions, about 2 or 3 of them in the last century, and we had one very early this century, but nothing in those fashion as we compare to what is going on now. So in short, since Adam Smith, the great father of economics, has identified 3 key, Adam Smith identified 3 key components of economic development or economic system, which vis-a-vis the production in the system, the labor, capital, and land. I don't need to go back to those. During the virus of the 1908 and an aftermath of the First and Second World War, there is need by neoclassical economics to begin to look at the effects of individual in terms of contributing to production and global and economic system. And that was why they added the issue of entrepreneurship. So for most of us that are in this age bracket, we went to school to learn that there are 4 major economic systems vis-a-vis the land labor capital, and of course entrepreneurship. But with COVID-19, and essentially one thing I've always said to people was what created the 2008 global recession was a dynamic shift in the economy. There was a lot of people misconstrue it to be something else, but in real economic analysis, what happened in 2008, that we had a very short period of global recession, was because of a dynamic shift in the economic system. And that dynamic shift was created nothing more than technology. It was a technology. It was the beginning of the global focus on 1G, 2G, 3G, and then in fact 3G had not come as of 2008. But by the time we had the first and second G of the network system, there is so much. This what we consider to be a complex system has become so much broadened and made easy by technologies. And what we witnessed was a dynamic shift, a paradigm shift kind of. Now, what the COVID has done to the economic system moving forward is more than a paradigm shift. It has created a new order, period. And like 2 other contributions have said, there will be a new order. And right now, economics are scratching the back of their head. And the reason why they are doing that is how to figure the role of technology, the role technology will play in the next level of economic system. The truth about it is that any country or any economic unit or any organization, most of them conglomerates or what have you, that are behind in the quest for technology should think twice. We are going to be witnessing moving forward heavy investment in technology. We are moving to a situation where schooling will not be in the classroom. Schooling will be virtual. We are moving into a realm where the 50, 80-story building that occupy human being will not be necessary, because most of those jobs you can do right in the corner of your home by visual. And then we are seeing a lot of artificial intelligence technology taking shape. Artificial intelligence in automobile, in logistics. One of the biggest industry around the world is logistics and transportation. We are seeing technology in artificial intelligence creative, extremely wonderful technology that will take the next level. So what we are looking at is we are looking at the economic system in the future that we heavily concentrate on technology. I don't care how you look at it. You have to, if you look at what COVID had even created, you will notice that from country to countries, there are emerging technologies on how to create entry point into airport, social distancing, work ethics, and stuff like that. We are going, that level is going to increase. And what I would suggest as a person, as a global investing analyst, is companies, individual, countries, government should be focusing on enticing technology that will enhance productivity. And I have a passion for Africa. And I would just end up by saying that in Africa, apart from the technology, we also need to drive capital. And when you drive capital, not only, we have a lot of human capital in Africa, but they are not tapped into. The young population in Africa needed in empowerment in terms of capital, and then that matched with the new thing in technology inventions that we go around the world. We needed to be able to empower them in order to grow the economy there, because those kids over there are yearning to go. They are really yearning to go. And any serious industrial company, like somebody mentioned in India, most of the young Indians, they are yearning, they are eager to go, they want to go, but you need to focus on investing in technology that will enhance their capability to do a lot of things without having a problem. Thank you very much for having me here, and that's the short contribution I have for now.
Thank you, Dr. Kazeem Bello, for you sharing your views on this international forum investment post-COVID-19. Now, I'd like to invite journalist Fardous Askar for your opinion and views on investment post-COVID-19 in your view as a journalist. Please unmute. Unmute, please. No, unmute, please. Cannot hear you. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hi, Eddie.
Yes.
Okay, it's good now?
Yes, good. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, President, for having me today with you. And first of all, I would like to thank for GPK Foundation to hold this conference. And secondly, happy honor with Deputy Prime Minister Koirala.
Sujata Koirala, yes.
Yeah, who share again this international forum.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry because I missed the journalist session, okay?
All right.
First of all, I'm looking and I hearing all my colleagues today about the investment in Africa, in Nepal, in many countries. But let me ask all of our colleagues. Today, we coming to listen for our problem in our country or for the solution, okay? Because everybody from any country after COVID-19, we know we have a big problem in economy. All the country, down the economy, they lost their jobs, more poor people. We need money, we need power, we need a plan, you know? I'm talking as a journalist from my experience, 25 years in this field, okay? And maybe I'm the only one who came from the Middle East. I'm Jordanian, from Jordan. And Jordan, it's in Asia, okay? Like Nepal, like India, like blah, blah, blah. Our problem in investment and in economy, our governments, okay? Nobody can work with the government and he can make good economy or raise up his economy in his country. And this is true. Please, nobody can blame me, but this is the truth. Look in America. I'm living in America and I'm talking with you now from South Carolina. But mainly I live in New York. But by COVID-19, I locked down here in my son's home, okay? I'm looking for the people. The people as immigrants here, the government pay money for all the people who sit down at home and look down $1,200. But the immigrant, and they have a green card and they working, they didn't pay for them. This is another discrimination, big discrimination by work, jobs, technology, color, religion, everything. And we couldn't, as a seminar or small group now, to solve all these problems. And the economy is dependent on all these problems. But I will not take more than my time because it's need the session and session and session, the discussion, and every one of us put his idea, his suggestion on paper, and we can one item by second by third, we can discussion all this. And I think if we do that plan, we can succeed and in very, very short time. First of all, we need to look the government or the country who has a money power, who can help us as non-profit organization or as a group of this seminar or whatever. And we need a few of us has very good experience to and talkative and to be it looks like us and ask the government in that countries to help us to start, but without money, without planning, without any idea how the percentage in Nepal, many people lost their work. In Jordan, many people, in America and everywhere. We need numbers, we need figures to depend on, we need a study, and it's take long time. But if every one of us working on his experience in this field, we will succeed by a very short time. And for our Excellency Koirala, excuse me, I know that you are from the government and you have good experience in that. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because you have a good experience and respect name in all around the world. And I search about you and I respect that you are a woman like me, okay? We can feel by these people. With all my respect for other colleagues from men's, but we can do many things we believe in. First of all, we need to make a new investment in tourism. Every country has a very things in tourism in her country. Many things. Look to Jordan. How I will talk about my country to make investment, and we have more 3 million refugees from Syria. We have 1.5 million refugees from Iraq. We have 1.5 million workers from Egypt, from Africa, and we are very, very small country. We are smaller than Nepal, and we have nothing to sell, just the salt from the Dead Sea. And Israel sharing us by this Dead Sea. They took our salt and they make good trade with America. This is a political things, and we couldn't separate the political things alone without economic things. The economic is depend on political. Look, when any new president come, he change his political things and he doing more than things for economy, and some of them, they took us for down economy and blah, 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 blah. It's a long story. Because of that, I will not take a long time, and just this is a small suggestion. Why we didn't put how we can solve all these things and we start our investment for our countries together. When we be together and in the same idea, and if you believe what I'm talking about, we can succeed by very short time. We can implement with the good people connection with the high position people out of our countries like Oman, like Emirates, like Saudi Arabia. They have now a new and the new and the new investment. And they don't care because they high oil, fuel, a lot of money, but we need somebody to persuade them to make care, to help these people, to make investment. If we make good investment, we can take a big number of the people who need work, they need money, they need health insurance help. Look at here. The insurance help is big problem for America. It's the biggest country in economy. They have a big problem in health insurance. If anybody died and he haven't more than $16,000 of dollars, they couldn't burn him or make a funeral. Look, we have to invest in human being around the world. If we make our investment in that human being in technology, in trade, industrial, and travel, tourism, everything, it's a human being. We respect these people and take their idea. We can start 1, 2, 3, and I will be proud of every one of you to work with. And just, I don't need more than this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, and for my collective by our leader, Dr. Leong, because I'm a membership of this collective. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you
Have a
very
good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for this, Askar, for your advices, opinions as a journalist on this forum. Thank you so much. Next, Richard Yuen, partner of Clytech. Let us please, we have to see on the time too. There's 10 more minutes left. There is question and answer session. Just try to be as short as possible, focusing on the investment post-COVID-19 only.
Okay, sure. No problem. Well, I want to thank you, GPK Foundation, as well as the panelists for allowing me to enter this. Been very informative. Main thing to do is just want to mention is that we're a small business, Clytech, in cooperation with Dr. Leong Ying, right? And we've been able to somewhat survive in this community just because of our collective society that he's created. And then that's what I believe that's needed to survive in this upcoming world, because as a small business, everything has been in the worst case scenario. And even, like 2/3 of the world is jobs in the US are created by small businesses. And unfortunately, we're the worst hit. And because of that, we're in the most trouble. In order to survive in this world, we have to be a collective. We have to be together and work together in order to survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard Yuen. Next, Dr. Imo Mullen Christopher, CEO AICP. Dr. Imo Mullen Christopher. I don't see him. And the final speaker of this forum, the panelist, Dr. Ying.
Thank you very much. I saw that award earlier. It is the Patron of the Planet Award 2019. Why is that? Because that's when I was faithfully met Somnath. So it was meant to be. So even though I'm a scientist, so I want to thank Somnath for this opportunity, and GPK Foundation, and Excellency former Deputy Prime Minister Sujata Koirala, Chairwoman of the Foundation. So a lot of you have mentioned we need a new paradigm change. Absolutely. I think the biggest paradigm change in the economic of the world was when the gold standard was removed. I personally think that was a disastrous thing, because it turned money into monopoly. And we're in this trouble because we're playing with monopoly money. There is going to be a huge paradigm change coming now. I think many of you said that. And we, of our organization, will be launching on the 23rd, One Humanity, One World Manifesto, with ideas of how this new world will come about with new economic paradigm, which also take care of our planet, not just humanity. We take care of humanity and we ruin our planet, then we ruin ourselves. So even though there's a paradigm shift, I'm going to talk about this because this is an investment forum. So I'm going to talk about the organization, our collective, our involvement with investors, and how we can move forward together with the partners that we have. So I'm just going to generalize the type of investors. There's two types of investors. There's the state one, the public state-funded one. Everyone knows about China Belt and Road Initiative. So we are also have connection into that. But as every one of you realize now, and it's all politics. Right now, China's investment, because of coronavirus, have brought a lot of difficulty. Obviously, for example, to get a Chinese investment, a country, a nation has to sign a sovereign guarantee fund back. The problem with that is if a nation cannot pay back the interest loan on that, then they are penalized. A classic example, of course, in Sri Lanka, the port, in that they signed an agreement with China, they cannot pay back, and now they have to sign a lease to China 99% of that. China invests heavily in Africa. Our organization are also working very, very actively in Africa. Dr. Bello and I was actually talking to a Nigerian government entity yesterday, and on 23rd, I'll also be on a panel of Nigerian public government agency to talk about how the new paradigm, how the new investment will be involved. So I'm not going to cover because I said to you, China now is trying to survive like everyone else. Therefore, it will probably be more concentrated on investing internally within its own infrastructure. So how China moves forward to invest in other nations, whether the Belt and Road Initiative will survive, only the future will tell. So now the other group of investors that we are involved in, which is the one that I really, really want to push ahead, are the private equity fund. To be honest with you, they're the only one that are cash rich right now. Nations are pretty much either bankrupt or near to bankruptcy. They don't have enough money. They've spent enough. Like America here, Fardous mentioned, America released a $3 trillion initiative plan to try and get the economy. They're talking about releasing even more $1 trillion. Where is this money coming from? It's coming from the future. It's not coming from me. It's coming from your children, your grandchildren. So we're just piling debt upon debt. Therefore, nations can no longer invest in other nations. They're trying to invest, they're trying to survive on their own. Private equity funds are actually cash rich because they have no opportunity to invest in. And we work with several private equity funds. Just to tell you, one of them, which I'm really focusing on, and I'm hoping we can partner, and this is what we're offering to Nigeria, they've actually generously changed their term because of COVID-19. Pre-COVID-19, we were able to offer their investment as a loan. When I say a loan, it means like a mortgage. It means a nation that took their loan had to pay it back. So depending on the project, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. If you did not pay that back, you will again be penalized. Or when I say you, the nation that takes the loan. But because of COVID, they have generously, sorry for my pronunciation, changed their loan structure so that it's no longer a loan. They know the pain that is suffering a nation, and they want to be part of that partnership, this new paradigm working through our organization. So they are now willing to do it as a full investment, not a loan. This will be a full investment. In return for the investment, they will take equity share in the project. Therefore, they will take on all the risks. When I say take on all the risks, they no longer require the loanee to pay back any of the investment cash. So they're willing to take on that risk. Therefore, I'm asking you, my colleagues out there, and Kazeem knows, and Fardous know, and Richard know, is that we are working predominantly right now in Africa, but we are looking for other opportunities, including Nepal. I have a dear love for Nepal. I've been there. I love the country. I love the people, and I would love to be part of the restructuring, part of the reinvestment of Nepal as well, Asia. So you want more details, I will be happy to deliver the details through Somnath. But we have people that are willing to back this new paradigm. So with our manifesto that we're going to be releasing on the 23rd, with our new investment strategy that's based on pure investment, not on a loan. So our investors are taking on the entire risk. We hope we can be part of this new enlightened new world that's coming. So I want to thank again GPK Foundation for this excellent forum and talk about the future. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have entered into the 10 minutes QA session now. I have a couple of questions as we are in the Facebook Live, and I have a couple of questions from our viewers. Before we get into the QA sessions, I would like to acknowledge some of our important participants here in this forum. Harbhajan Singh, ESQ, and Secretary of IOC USA, Indian Overseas Congress USA, Secretary Harbhajan Singh, ESQ too, attorney at law. Next, we have Malini Saha, very active leader, community leader, social activist, and human rights fighter leader. Next, we have the president of Center for Women of New York, Victoria Piloti. So these are the most important participants. They are listening and learning, and in the process of learning, as I say, we learn every day something new. Now, I would like to invite Harbhajan Singh for your 1 minute remarks on this post-COVID investment.
Thank you very much. First of all, I believe that we are in the cross point of history at this point, and we are very soon going to wake up in a fresh new world. Everyone is speculating what is going to be after COVID-19, and nobody knows the answers. Whether we are going to have countries without borders, is geopolitics going to be changed or affected, and in what way? What kind of UN are we going to have? What kind of remodeling will it undergo? Do we still need Security Council, and what kind, and what combination, and what veto powers? All these are going to be revisited. There is a new wave in the world. The racial bias is also going to be checked, will be studied. It's a worldwide phenomena. We cannot live in isolation. No country can live in isolation. We're having new oceans and new environment. Fish and animals are going to be in plentiful now because the cleaner waters and fresher. In New Delhi, they say now they can see the peak of the Mount Everest. And city configurations in industrialized countries is going to be different. People are leaving the cities. They don't need the big cities. They're going to live they're going to be living outside the cities. Hospital visits. How are doctors going to see patients now? It's all going to be different. University, the other day, my granddaughter was in admission, and I was talking to a professor. He said we used to limit our admissions to only a certain amount, but today we can we can accommodate 15 times, 20 times more than what we used to do. And we don't need these buildings anymore. Things are going to change. We all have to wake up. We all have to be prepared. And there will be good. We will have to go back to our own religions and get answers, some answers. But things are going to change. Thank you. And 1 minute before, if I may say so, first of all, I want to thank you, Somnath ji. You are not only a wonderful host, but also you are always doing great things in your community.
Thank you.
And you utilize all your networks.
Thank you.
And contacts to benefit everyone.
Yes.
We salute you, and truly, you are truly a dynamic leader. We thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. We all work as a teamwork. It's all teamwork. With all your supports and suggestions and advices, we move along and build our community better and better ahead. Next, Malini Saji, please, 1 minute thought.
Yes, I thank Honorable Mrs. Sujata Koirala ji and Somnath ji for hosting this event. I think we have been able to learn so much about the global situation on investment post-COVID-19, what each country's citizens are going through. And of course, I was very fascinated to know so much about everybody's experience and what they are going through right now about the situation. And I think I look forward to another session on this topic, because I feel everybody has very strong views on where our new world, the new beginning is heading. And everyone's input is wonderful to know, sharing ideas on what one can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Malini ji, for your short and sweet remarks.
Yeah.
And I have one question for Dr. Sudhir Purpayala. I don't see him. Next question goes to Dr. Mike Singh ji, Chairman and CEO, TC Group, Guyana. Please unmute. This question is from one of our viewers from Kuwait. What would be your right recommendation or suggestion for the secure investment post-COVID in country like mine in Nepal?
Okay, namaste once again. Let me recognize and acknowledge the Honorable Sujata Koirala. I didn't know she was on the call, and such exalted company. Having been the foreign minister of your country, you recognize the importance of multilateralism to a small country like Nepal. It's similar to Guyana. We are members of the UN like Nepal. We are members of the non-aligned movement like Nepal. So being small doesn't mean you cannot be effective. You've got to walk a straight but narrow path. Like Austria, you're a buffer between India and China. For Nepal, I see four things. First and foremost, you have a very rich history. Having been the birthplace of the Nirvana of Asia, of Buddha, of Gautama, of Siddhartha, you brought light to humanity. So Nepal, having been the birthplace of also Mother Sita, consort of Lord Rama, you have a very rich historic past. And in terms of your flora and fauna and your history, you must focus on using culture and heritage tourism as a differentiator compared to regular tourism, and move beyond just the trekking. Your rich culture, your rich heritage, your rich past. Secondly, you have a lot of hydroelectric power, a lot of hydroelectric potential. If you could do, and I'm pretty sure you must have an estimate of your total hydroelectric capacity. You can attract companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon to set up large data centers in Nepal using the water that can produce cheap electricity to cool these data centers. So your hydroelectric power can be monetized to create an entire industry of eco-friendly data centers. Thirdly, I think Nepal can and must join the Commonwealth. Even though you were not a British colony, you always enjoyed good and fruitful relations with Britain. And like Rwanda, which was never a British colony, Rwanda became a member of the Commonwealth. And being in the Commonwealth affords you a lot of advantages to work with similar sized small developing countries like Guyana, like Barbados, like Fiji and others, and even with the more developed ones like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and also smaller countries like Malaysia and Singapore, and of course your neighbor India, on whose experience you could draw. So broadband should become more available. You should make it available to the masses. And I believe if you can find a way as part of a national government, this has to be a social undertaking. It could be a public-private partnership, and I am happy through my foundation, the Demerara Charitable Foundation, to work with GPK Foundation on how we could democratize broadband, make it available to the masses. Because with broadband and nationwide accessibility to broadband, you could do things like remote working, telemedicine, because I figured out Nepal is a country with lots of small villages and towns. Some of them are cut off, maybe because you don't have good roads, good infrastructure to get people around cheaply by car. They can still be connected to the ecosystem using 21st century connected networks. And most importantly, the most important resource of Nepal is its human capital. Without people, nothing can be done. Technology is irrelevant if you don't have an educated and literate and competitive nation. I like to talk about the United Arab Emirates as a good example with Sheikh Zayed, who created a nation. And he always felt, you know what? I'm not going to take any of the wealth I have. I can't take it with me when I die. So I must do everything I can to create a country and a society where everyone has a good quality of life, both within the UAE and beyond. So you can look at some of their developmental concepts, look at the developmental concepts of Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore. One of the greatest challenges or impediment to development is corruption. You must have zero tolerance against corruption because corruption fuels poverty. And if I might quote the voice of the late Mahatma Gandhi, Gandhi said poverty was the greatest form of violence. And poverty, you could defeat this by creating a society that is compassionate, that is just, and that is governed on the principles of accountability, transparency, the rule of law, and good governance. And you see countries that have strong governance and strong implementation of technology, you minimize and lessen the impact of corruption. You've got to have the rule of law. You must have an investment code or an atmosphere that is transparent to people. I think if you start on the premise of having the right intent, the right leaders, and so on, you can do well. I would also like to suggest we launch a Startup Nepal initiative. There are many bright people in that country, I'm sure, and they just need a push. We need to create the enabling environment for them to discover their true human capital. That is my small contribution to a country that I'm yet to visit.
Thank you, sir.
And if I might add, Somnath, I was reading about GP Koirala.
Yes.
And I was very pleased to know we are born the same day on July 4th.
Wow, lucky, huh? So you must be the next Prime Minister of Guyana now.
No. I'm a humanitarian. I want to help humanity. You know.
Okay. Thank you, Mike Singh, for your sharing your views on these questions, and I hope we can learn a lot more. You are highly knowledgeable humanitarian, as you said.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we keep learning and we keep in touch. And the final questions and closings goes to Honorable Sujata Koirala, former Deputy Prime Minister and former Foreign Minister of Nepal and the chairperson of GPK Foundation. What is your view or what is your advices on our panel today about investing in Nepal, secure and future betterment of the future, post COVID-19? Unmute, please.
I think in Nepal, after the COVID-19 pandemic, it will be very useful to invest on hospital equipments, medicine sectors, medical sectors, and also education, and like school and colleges, universities, they are not well equipped. We have to build infrastructure for them, and internet services are not available. We realized now that the students, like Mr. Singh said, in villages, in mountains, in remote areas, there is no internet, there is no system, digital system that they can go and learn from online. So we have to improve that part. And people, the students, they don't have computers, they don't have online education system, and it has affected a lot to the children. At this time we realize this. So I would suggest, and tourism is very important for Nepal. Two big nations, China and India, with so big population, we were having a lot of tourists from both the countries, and but now it is all blocked, blackout, and very sad situation. The hotels, the big hotels, small hotels, they are all closed down. They don't, workers are unemployed. They cannot pay salary. So it is a very difficult time. So we have to also think what we can do, how we can now, like tourism, tourism, how we can plan for the tourism industry in a different way. Maybe like there are no flights right now, and all the people, who have gone to other countries to work, all those workers, they are coming back, and they have no jobs. So we are going to face very, very difficult time after the pandemic. It is not going to be easy for a small country and least developed country like Nepal. And we have to really plan how we have time now, and the government should plan, we should plan how we are going to adjust these people, how we give them employment. And we have a lot of opportunities. Nepal is a small country, poor country, but everybody has like land, agriculture land, small house to live, and very minimum simple life. Mostly people live, even if they are in the remote area, they were living with the hotels and small hotels, small business, like के भन्छ चियाको पसल, tea shops and, you know, small shops in the villages. They were making money and they were living reasonable life, very simple. And but now it is going to be, they are going to be affected. So we have to think about this new world now, which like Shamji, you know, Sam, what his full name I forgot, like Shamji mentioned. Now we have to model it in a new way, the new world, you know, after the Second World War, it was differently modeled. The whole infrastructure was different, and now we have to, now after this pandemic, we have to see the world in a different way. We have to make it different, you know, different way to work and system and organize it, our society and our people to organize in a different way. I think he's also writing a book. I'm very interested to meet him and talk to him because he said a few things really very remarkable, very interesting. I have even noted it down. I'm going to listen once more to all of you. I will sit and listen, and a lot of things I have learned today. Thank you so much. It was so interesting. And GP Foundation is also doing a lot of work. I would like to invite you, whoever is interested, to work with us together in Nepal. You know, we have a plastic and reconstructive surgery hospital. Right now, our hospital is empty. There is no patient coming because everything is locked down. You know, everywhere, everything locked down. And we are also thinking about improving our hospital, not only plastic and reconstructive surgery. We will also, we want to have a general hospital, because there in that area in Kathmandu, where the hospital is situated, there is no, there are 4 or 5 villages, those who have no hospital, no facilities, medical supports, or any facilities of general hospital. So if we can open that hospital, and we can give, you know, a lot of people will benefit from that. So we are also thinking about planning for the hospitals, and about the education system, how to improve and modernize the schools, and internet service to give to the all the villages, free service of internet. They should have everybody should have access to that, which is very important. And especially after COVID, you know, we have to use mostly, I think, technology. So that is how I think we have to remodel the whole thing, the whole infrastructure in every country, because we are not, we have to stand on our feet. We have to use our resources. We have to do a lot of farming and a lot of hydropower, like Mr. Singh just mentioned. We have hydropower. We have, so these are the things we have to develop. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
wish
We
you all.
have next 1 minute, Honorable Sujata Kuradu. We have President of Center for Women of New York. She wants to have her some thoughts on this. Please go ahead, Victoria Piloti.
Namaste, everyone. Namaste. I wanted to suggest for our future conferences hosted by GPK, and we thank you for hosting these wonderful, wonderful talks. We all learned so much. I would like to suggest 2 separate conferences, one on domestic violence and the other on trafficking. And of course, both affect all people. However, hold on a moment, please. And of course, they affect all people. However, the Center for the Women of New York focuses on women, not to discriminate against men, but we need to focus on women because in most countries, we need help. The laws don't always protect us. So if you don't mind, I'd like to suggest one conference on domestic violence coming out of COVID, what is happening during COVID, and what we can expect to find when we are all no longer in isolation, and how we can help these survivors of domestic violence, and the other on trafficking. With the economy, as we all spoke about, being down in every country, we can expect an increase in trafficking. We can expect more human beings in bondage being used as products, and they will be crossing borders. So I would like to focus on that as well. So please do invite the Center for the Women of New York. Malini Shah and I have been hosting local conferences with much success. We learn much, we share resources with other organizations, and we help fight these two serious issues. So thank you for your time, and all of you, thank you for your knowledge.
All right, so thank you so much, all the participants, all the panelists, and the chairperson of the GPK Foundation, and former Deputy Prime Minister and former Foreign Minister of Nepal, Honorable Sujata Koirala, for your leadership and advices, suggestions. Great going on the journey of foundation globally, and we look forward working with all our partners, all our seniors, researchers, intellectuals, educationists, doctors. We have a journalist. We have been doing close connections and sharing each of our experiences to build our community, our nation, our society, a strong foundation for our future generation. Thanks again. And finally, I would like to invite Honorable Sujata Koirala for a vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody. It was really wonderful listening and learning from everyone. It was a wonderful conversation and ideas came. Thank you, Somnathji, for organizing all this. It's very, very great of you. Thank you.